The forest was eerily quiet, the earthy scent of pine and damp soil mingling in the air. Yet beneath it, there was something darker, a faint, bitter smell of sweat, desperation, and fear. Liam Carter wiped the sweat from his brow, his boots crunching through the underbrush as he navigated the thick, tangled woods. He'd been tracking a herd of wild Mustangs for days, determined to capture footage for his documentary on America's last free-roaming horses. But what he discovered instead was far more chilling. At first, he thought it was just a trick of the light, a shadow of a horse. But as his eyes adjusted, Liam's heart dropped. A magnificent black Mustang, its legs bound tightly to a tree by rusted chains. His blood boiled. Who could do something so cruel? And then Liam spotted the tracks, human footprints, fresh, leading away from the tree. Whoever had done this had left the horse for dead. In these wilds, death wouldn't come swiftly. It would come on claws and fangs. Liam's stomach twisted. Bears. He had spent enough time in the wild to know how predators worked. If the Mustang wasn't dead by morning, it would be. The horse's breath was shallow, its dark eyes locked onto Liam's. Resignation written in every breath. "Hang in there, buddy," Liam whispered, his voice tight with fury. "I'm getting you out of here." He reached for his hunting knife, but before he could act, a low, guttural growl echoed from the trees. Liam froze. The bears were already here. His heart pounded as his breath quickened. Somewhere in the darkness, a bear was watching him, waiting. The Mustang shifted weakly, its body scraping against the chains. Another growl, this one deeper, closer. The air was thick with the scent of death. There were two of them. Liam's mind raced. He'd encountered black bears before, even grizzlies, but never in a situation this dire. His rifle was miles away at camp. The only weapon on him was his hunting knife, and against two full-grown bears, that wasn't nearly enough. He scanned the trees, searching for any movement. Then, from the shadows, a massive brown shape emerged. A bear, nearly 7 feet tall when standing. Its dark eyes locked on the Mustang, its muscles rippling under its matted fur. Liam's pulse quickened. The bear wasn't looking at him. It was focused on the horse. The second bear emerged from the opposite side, smaller, but just as dangerous. They were hunting together. Liam had to act fast. He dug into his pack, his fingers closing around the flare gun he had packed for emergencies, never thinking he'd actually need it. This was an emergency. The first bear was only feet away, sniffing the air, its massive paws pressing into the dirt. Liam fired. The flare exploded into the night sky, a streak of fire that lit up the trees. The bear recoiled with a roar of surprise, and the second bear took a step back. Liam didn't waste a second. He lunged forward, unsheathing his knife and grabbing the thick, rusted chain, his hands trembling with urgency. He sawed at the links, the metal scraping against the blade. "Come on, come on," he muttered, desperation creeping into his voice. The chain snapped. The Mustang stumbled forward, free but too weak to run. Liam barely had time to grab the rope, still hanging from the horse's neck, before the first bear charged. He yanked the Mustang to the side, just as the bear's massive paw sliced through the air where they had been standing seconds before. The Mustang was alive, but it was too weak to escape, and they weren't out of danger yet. Liam's legs burned as they bolted through the trees. Behind them, the bears growled in frustration, but did not follow yet. Liam and the Mustang reached a narrow riverbed, and after a brief hesitation, the Mustang leapt through, splashing into the cold water. Liam followed, the icy current soaking him into the bone. He stumbled out on the other side, looking back just in time to see the bears emerge from the trees. The larger one paced at the river's edge, its eyes locked on him, but it didn't cross. The water was too deep, too fast. For now, they were safe, but only just. Liam breathed a sigh of relief, glancing at the Mustang beside him. The horse was trembling, exhausted but alive. For a moment, they just stood there, the cold water swirling around their legs. Liam reached out and gently touched the Mustang's warm neck, his fingers brushing the sweat-soaked coat. "You're safe now," he whispered. The Mustang exhaled, a soft huff of relief. For the first time, there was something else in his eyes, hope. The fire that had once burned brightly was beginning to return. But the danger wasn't over. The storm clouds were gathering, and Liam could feel the pressure in the air. They needed shelter, and fast. The Mustang still didn't trust him. How could he? He had been abandoned, betrayed, left to die alone. Liam knew it would take time for the horse to heal, physically and emotionally. But they didn't have time. As the storm clouds loomed overhead, Liam spotted a narrow cave, hidden behind thick vines. It wasn't much, but it was shelter. He moved toward it, and after a moment's hesitation, the Mustang followed. Slowly at first, but he was following. Once inside, the wind howled and the rain poured down in sheets. Liam huddled against the stone wall, exhausted. His stomach twisted. There was no food, no fire, no supplies. And the Mustang, he wasn't just weak, he was sick. His breathing was shallow, and Liam could see the faint foam at the edges of his mouth. Colic, maybe, or something worse. Liam cursed under his breath. He needed to act fast. Using his hands, he cupped the rainwater that was falling outside, bringing it back to the Mustang. Slowly, the horse drank, but that wasn't enough. And then, beneath the dirt and scars, Liam saw it, the brand. A faint, familiar mark. He froze. He recognized it. He had seen it before. The symbol of a kill buyer. Someone who profited from capturing and selling wild Mustangs for slaughter. Liam clenched his fists. This horse had been used, abused, discarded like trash, left to die alone. But he had survived, and now, so had Liam. As the storm raged on outside, Liam's resolve hardened. Whoever had done this to the Mustang wouldn't rest until the horse was dead. But Liam wasn't going to let that happen. He was just getting started.